Hello, I'm Jessica Sandland. I am a technical instructor in the Department of Material Science and Engineering, and I am the last of the MITx digital learning scientists that you're going to be hearing from today. So I just wanted to give you a really brief overview. Like all of my colleagues, there are a lot of activities that are taking place in my department, some of which I'm involved in and some of which I'm not. I have, sort of cataloged up here mostly the ones that we have actually had edX offerings for. But I will point out that there are several smaller scale initiatives that are also going on in our department that make use of the MITx platform for blended learning, generally at a little bit of a smaller scale. And today I would like to focus, pardon me, I would like to focus my talk to you on really two courses. One of which is 3086X, or 3086 on campus, Innovation and Commercialization. And the other is 3032X, Mechanical Behavior of Materials. And I chose to talk to you guys today about these two classes, first of all, because I think they're very different classes. And I think that the fact that they are such different classes helps to illustrate some of the power, perhaps, of blended learning here on campus. And the other reason I choose to talk about these classes is the fact that we have been working on them for a number of years now, and I think we have a lot of lessons to share from them. So I'm going to start with 3086. This is an elective subject. It's taken mostly by undergraduate juniors and seniors, although it is also sometimes taken with a different course number by our graduate students as well. It's taught by Professor Jean Fitzgerald. And really, the course centers on a course project that is designed to really help students understand the fundamental processes involved in innovation. So instead of the course really being centered on problem sets or being centered on the lectures, these students take a project, and throughout the course of the semester, they develop this project, they work on this project, and they choose this project themselves so that they can work either alone or in groups on something that really matters to them. And the goal is to really provide a collaborative, project-based learning experience for the students in the class. One of the consequences of this sort of project-based class is that the students really have to very quickly learn how to conduct a lot of in-depth research, sometimes in areas where they're not particularly comfortable. So they need to come up to speed on conducting technical literature reviews, which most of them are pretty comfortable with because they're scientists, but also searching SEC reports to find out financial information about companies, or searching patent databases to learn more about the patent landscape of their innovative idea. So we have incorporated online learning in this class in three basic ways. We have online lecture videos of our professor, talking about the course material. Students watch this outside of class, and this serves, first of all, to give the students some flexibility, but also to really open up class periods for more interaction with the teaching staff. So there's more time for discussion. There's more time to invite in outside lecturers other than the teaching staff themselves to try to give some additional perspective, new perspectives on this material to the class. The second thing we have is we have some online exercises that are done on the MITx platform. And these exercises have definitely evolved through the years. We've been offering this class, I think, for probably about 2.5 years now. And at this point, the goal of these exercises is to really help get students up to speed with those research questions that I was talking with you about just a few minutes ago. We want to give students some practice. Before they get to their big projects, we want to give them some small practice that's going to teach them how to, one, define good research questions, identify what they're trying to figure out. And two, we want to give them some support, identifying good sources and utilizing those good sources to answer the questions that are going to be really fundamental when they're talking about their own innovative work. And then the third thing that we've done, and this is outside, at this point this exists outside of the MITx platform, This course also uses some project development software that facilitates the development of these student projects. And this software allows students to keep detailed records of their work. It allows them to record their thoughts. It allows them to sort of keep track of their developments and the evolution in their project. Perhaps they want to, identify some question that they think is important. It allows them a place to put the answers they find. It gives them a place to identify questions that they need to answer in order to move their projects forward. We also find that the project software helps to enable student-student interaction. So when the students are collaborating on their projects, they can communicate a little bit more efficiently. And our faculty find that they're getting a lot more insight into the students' projects. They're getting a lot they're getting a better idea of sort of the processes that are going on in the students' in the students' heads and in the students' project development. And that allows them to really be better mentors to the students. It facilitates this mentorship. And the students in 3086 spend a fair amount of time working either one-on-one or in small groups with a faculty to help them and to support them in the development of their project. And our faculty find that this project software helps enable that. So one of the questions, we wanted to ask, we wanted to understand how well some of these tools were really working for our students. And so here, there's a lot of data here, and I could talk for quite some time to this slide, and I'm not going to because I have 10 or 15 minutes and I've already used most of them. But in 2014, we had very, very limited project software. In 2015, we expanded this a great deal. And we identified a whole bunch of different metrics, things that the faculty really wanted to see demonstrated in the projects. And we went through all of the 2014 projects. We went through all of the 2015 projects. And almost to a metric, I think there's one exception here, we saw that more and more and more of the projects were demonstrating these particular outcomes that our faculty were looking for. Now, what were these sort of metrics? I'm not going to, talk to all of them. I think the most important part is that they're really specific, specific in this case to the course, specific to what the faculty wants to see coming out of the student projects. But to give you a few examples, our faculty believe that it's really important that the students incorporate intellectual property information into their innovation projects. So that's one of the things we looked for. Another thing we looked for was teams identifying industry structure information that pertains to their innovative idea. Another thing that we looked for was whether or not the students had identified, when they're talking about their innovations, who might actually purchase their innovation and why they might purchase their innovation. So these are sort of just examples, and the others are very much in this vein of the kind of outcomes we're looking for. Pardon me. And we also just sort of qualitatively, the instructors were observing that when they added this kind of record-keeping software for their students, they were feeling that they were seeing much higher performance out of the students in their project developments. So now I want to contrast this to another course that's quite different, but I think also has some very, very exciting outcomes that we're seeing. 3032, Mechanical Behavior of Materials. This is a core material science elective. All of the materials science and engineering students are required to take 3032. And it's the only core course that they take that is devoted to the mechanical behavior of materials. So it's really essential that the students learn, really a large amount of information in this one class. The thing that I very much have enjoyed about the development of 3032X is that we decided to do it essentially all with very standard tools that are available on the edX Studio platform. We didn't move outside of that at all. I think that there are a lot of creativity and a lot of thought went into exactly how we were going to use those tools. But we stayed, quite strongly on the standard path, if you will. And we provided the students with a whole bunch of resources, filmed lectures, screencast examples. We filmed some demos. There were online problem sets. Our professor, Professor Lorna Gibson, teaches this course. She developed and is in the process of still developing some really great short feature videos where she takes students on, small field trips and things like that to explain some interesting, excuse me, some interesting elements of her course. So the first time this course was offered after the MOOC had been developed was in fall of 2014. And this time through, we used it essentially as supplementary information. The professor, she continued to give her lectures, and she provided the online site for students who might miss a class or for students who might have a class conflict. There were videos there, they could access them at will, but they weren't required to. The professor continued to give her lectures, she continued to teach it as she always would. Again, with the problem sets, they were available for practice, but none of this was required. And the students were very, very positive about this. And Professor Gibson made what I thought was a really interesting observation here. She found that of the top 5 students in her class, 3 of them didn't attend lectures. 3 of them were simply following the class in the online environment, despite the fact, that really wasn't how her class was structured. But I think the fact that she was seeing such a dramatic effect with those 3 students, it made her think that perhaps it was time to see if we could do a fully flipped classroom. And so this semester, Professor Gibson elected to fully flip her classroom. Now, in this case, our professor's conducting tutorials, discussion, where there are discussions, where there is problem solving, where there is lots of interaction between the professor and the students. The TA conducts a review session. The students also do laboratory work, which they've always been doing in this particular course. They do their problem sets online where they receive immediate feedback. And then there are short homework quizzes. See, we've mentioned that we're sort of a community here, and I believe Simona began giving her students Quizlets, and she talked to Professor Gibson, and Professor Gibson loved the idea. And now Professor Gibson is giving Quizlets every Friday. They're taken directly from the homework to make sure that the students are keeping up. And in general, the students are doing quite well on them. And as I think a number of my colleagues have mentioned, this really serves to keep the lectures, the feedback, the problem sets, all of the work in sync. You don't have to wait 2 weeks to get a response, get a graded problem set from your TA and you've already forgotten the material. Everything is happening at once now. So we asked the students what they thought, and I think these sort of results will look pretty familiar. We asked them if they preferred a traditional or flipped class on a scale of 1, is traditional and 7 is flipped. We found that we got a mean score there of 5.78. So in general, they were much preferring the flipped class. As Saif pointed out, the students, in a way that you almost never see, really, really, really like the instantaneous feedback that they're getting on these problem sets. This is very popular. I don't think I've ever seen review numbers like that. And they felt that they were learning better this way as well. And then one of the questions that we thought was really important to ask them, because we're always very nervous, do the students feel like they're missing out? Do they feel like they're not getting enough contact with the professors? So we asked them, well, do you feel like, this is a mid-semester survey, by the way, do you feel like you're getting sufficient contact time with your professor? And again, on a scale of 1 to 7, we found a score of 5.5. The students in general agree that they are, in fact, getting sufficient time with their professor in this course. So that was really encouraging to us, because I think that was one of the things we're most worried about. So my time is almost up. I have just talked to you today about 2 courses that I think are, both successful and both very different. And they encourage me because I think that they lead me to believe that we can really develop successful blending learning experiences for a wide variety of classes, provided that our course development strategy really reflects the specific needs of the courses that we're developing. So I thank you all for your time.